Let's dive right in. Welcome to our ultimate feline nutrition explainer. Today, we're finally going to settle the age-old wet versus dry cat food debate, and we're doing it using hardcore veterinary science. Whether you're a brand new kitten owner or you're managing the diet of a senior cat, this is absolutely crucial information that directly impacts the health and longevity of your best friend. Let me ask you a question I hear all the time. Have you ever wondered why your cat's water bowl just always looks full? Well, you're definitely not alone. It's a super common observation, and the answer is actually rooted deeply in their evolutionary history. We often worry they aren't drinking enough, and honestly, the truth is, they probably aren't. To get to the bottom of this, our explainer today covers 1. The great cat food debate, 2. The feline hydration crisis, 3. A nutritional showdown between wet and dry, 4. The true cost of feeding, and finally, 5. The mixed feeding compromise. Let's start with Section 1, the feline hydration crisis. What's incredibly fascinating is that our domestic cats descend directly from desert-dwelling ancestors. Think about that for a second. In the wild, cats evolved to get an incredible 70 to 75% of their necessary water directly from the meat of their prey. Because of this deep-rooted evolutionary trait, they simply don't possess the natural urge to drink enough water from a bowl to make up for a dry kibble diet. They are quite literally hardwired to eat their water, not drink it. And that leads us to a pretty stark nutritional contrast. A typical can of wet food perfectly mimics that natural prey diet, boasting upwards of 75% moisture. Dry kibble, well, it clocks in at a measly 10%. This drastically low moisture content in dry food leaves cats highly susceptible to feline lower urinary tract disease, or FLUTD. According to the American Veterinary Medical Association, maintaining proper hydration is absolutely fundamental to managing FLUTD. That lack of water puts a dangerous compounding strain on aging kidneys over time. To put that into perspective, 1 in 3 cats will develop renal disease by age 10. 1 in 3. Moving right along to Section 2, nutritional showdown, wet versus dry. So here's the crucial point. You can't just read the back of a wet food can and compare it directly to a dry food bag. It just doesn't work. Because the water content is so vastly different, we have to mathematically strip away the water and look at what experts call the dry matter basis, or DMB. This is literally the only way to get a fair apples-to-apples comparison of the actual nutrients. And looking at things this way brilliantly illustrates the divide. When we look at the dry matter basis, wet food generally offers a much higher protein percentage, typically 40 to 55%. This is vital for maintaining muscle mass, especially in senior cats whose digestive efficiency drops as they age. Just as importantly, wet food keeps carbohydrates naturally low, usually under 15%. Contrast that with dry kibble. Kibble needs carbohydrates just to hold its shape, so it often carries a really heavy carb load of 25 to 50%. Keep in mind, as obligate carnivores, cats naturally require only about 1 to 2% carbohydrates in the wild. So, weighing the pros and cons, while wet food mimics their natural diet perfectly with proactive hydration, high protein, and low carbs, dry food definitely brings undeniable advantages of its own. Kibble has a very high caloric density, making it an excellent tool for underweight cats or growing kittens who need concentrated energy. Plus, let's be real, it offers pure convenience for busy owners who rely on automatic feeders, and it is undeniably way more budget-friendly. Which brings us to Section 3. Health risks and realities. And we have a massive finding here. A web-based survey of over 2,000 cats conducted by the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences revealed a pretty shocking reality. Now, we all know obesity causes diabetes, but this study found that even if your cat is at a perfectly normal, healthy weight, eating a strictly dry food diet still significantly elevates their risk for type 2 diabetes. The high carbohydrate load in kibble is constantly challenging their blood sugar control. Now, seeing all that, you might be thinking you can just hack the system. Why not just pour water over your cat's dry kibble to get the hydration benefits while keeping the cost down? Well, unfortunately, veterinary experts strongly warn against this practice. Adding water to kibble is, quite frankly, a recipe for disaster. First off, it promotes rapid bacterial growth and spoilage if left out at room temperature. Second, it often creates this mushy, soggy texture that cats just naturally reject. And if a cat suddenly stops eating because they hate that soggy texture, and we all know exactly how stubborn cats can be, it can trigger a life-threatening medical emergency in a matter of days called hepatic lipidosis or fatty liver disease. Plus, adding water doesn't magically remove the high carbohydrate content of that extruded kibble. The carbs are still there. Let's look at Section 4, the true cost of feeding. According to some really fascinating data compiled by Tufts University, for an average 10-pound adult cat eating roughly 260 calories a day, a premium wet food diet can cost over $2,100 a year. No joke. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, an economical dry food diet can cost as little as $86 annually. That is a staggering financial gap, and it's something every pet owner has to carefully consider. Furthermore, wet food demands strict storage protocols as outlined by veterinary sources like PetMD. You absolutely must discard any uneaten wet food left in the bowl within just 1 hour to prevent spoilage. Open cans have to be refrigerated in airtight containers and thrown away after 3 days. Dry food, meanwhile, that can last 2 to 3 months if kept in its original scientifically designed packaging, placed inside an airtight container in a cool, dry place. Finally, Section 5, the mixed feeding compromise. So we're left with a dilemma, right? If wet food is best for their evolutionary biology and kidney health, but dry food is best for our wallets, our busy schedules, and caloric density, how do we actually win? Well, the answer is compromise. Veterinary experts, including those at Royal Canin, highly recommend a mixed feeding approach. The golden ratio here is roughly 1/3 wet food and 2/3 dry food. This specific combination effectively combats chronic dehydration and supports urinary health, while keeping the overall costs and daily feeding convenience incredibly manageable for you. It also provides a variety of textures, which helps prevent cats from becoming fixated on just one type of food. But to make this happen, you need a safe transition plan. Cats are famously picky, and a sudden diet change can cause serious stomach upset or a dangerous hunger strike. You must shift their diet incredibly slowly over a 7 to 14-day period. Start by replacing just 25% of their old diet with the new food for a few days. Then gradually step it up to 50%, then 75%, until you finally reach your target mixed feeding ratio. Patience is absolutely your best friend here. And if you hit a wall with a picky eater, especially a senior cat whose senses of smell and taste might be fading, here are some clinical pro tips. Gently warm their wet food to about 37 to 40 degrees Celsius. That's essentially mouse body temperature, and it massively boosts the aroma. Serve it in wide, shallow bowls so their sensitive whiskers don't touch the sides. Now, I know whisker fatigue sounds exactly like an excuse made up by a total diva cat, but it's actually legitimate veterinary science. Their whiskers are incredibly sensitive. Finally, to further boost hydration, use the N+1 rule for water bowls. 1 bowl per cat in the house, plus 1 extra. Also, consider moving water fountains, since cats naturally prefer running water over stagnant bowls. Bringing it all together, knowing that cats are chronically dehydrated by nature, we have to look at the food in our pantries and ask ourselves a tough question. Are we letting the sheer convenience and lower cost of dry kibble quietly compromise our best friend's long-term health? By simply incorporating some high-moisture wet food into their daily routine, we can proactively protect their kidneys, manage their weight, and ensure they thrive well into their senior years. Think about how you might adjust their bowl tonight. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and here's to happier, healthier cats.